And that's the weird thing about sports, regardless of whether we're talking about football or hockey or basketball or whatever, is not very often can you say that without a doubt the best two teams in this sport are playing for the championship, right? Whether it's a freak injury that happens or someone sneaks in or gets hot at the right time, or in hockey all of a sudden a goalie is playing out of his mind and the prohibitive favorite gets bounced in the first round. Like,
Yep.
weird things happen all the time. There's not anyone who watched a minute of college football this year that can't look you in the eye and say, "Yeah, no, it's Georgia and Alabama are the best too." Like, they got that part right for sure. If we look at Cincinnati here, I mean, like we said, if you weren't gonna take them, who can you even take? Like, Ohio State? Is it Notre Dame? Is it Oklahoma? Is it Baylor? Is it Oklahoma State? Like, those are the teams that are sort of record wise and resume wise that were around there, but none of them were able to run off an undefeated season. All of them had stumbles in meaningful games. Yeah, some teams got hot, some teams faded down the stretch, but I mean, Cincinnati deserved to be there. Full
Yeah.
marks to them. My question, though, is, and not to be Debbie Downer here, because everything that you said, as far as the ticket sales are going up and they've got better recruitment and they can join a Power Five conference and all of that, that's all layering up and matching up perfectly. My question is, does head coach Luke Fickell make the jump to the NFL? Because he interviewed with the Lions last year before they ended up
Yeah.
going with Dan Campbell. He was a finalist for that head coaching position. We know this is something he wants. Does this something that he now takes a look and says, he's losing Ahmad Sauce Gardner to the NFL draft. He's losing Jerome Ford. He's losing a quarterback. He's losing a bunch of key pieces. Does he sort of look at this and go, okay, I'm not an Alabama who has all of these all-world sophomores that are coming up. Is this the best I can do with this program? Like, is his stock as high as it's ever going to be at Cincinnati right now, and he makes that jump? What do you think?
I mean, I think you'd be foolish to say no, because this is the first time this has ever happened.
Yeah.
So, and he's the first coach to ever do it. So, I mean, you look at what happened with Matt Rule when he made the jump to the NFL. He was a very hot commodity because he turned around two programs in college to a point where Temple was nationally relevant. And then he went on to Baylor and resurrected that program after the Art Briles scandal. So, I mean, those types of things, and you know it just as well as I do, when you're at the peak, it's just like a Hollywood actor. You see some actors, they'll make 6 movies a year because everyone wants them to be in their movie in whatever role they can get them in.
Yeah, you can say Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. We'll call him by name. He hasn't turned down a role in his entire life here.
There you go. So right now, Luke Fickell is Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He's being looked at as the only guy out of all of these all these top 4 programs that is probably looking elsewhere or keeping an ear to the ground. So his stock is definitely as high as it's ever been, and maybe as ever as it's going to be. So, would you fault him for making that jump and taking a chance to say, if I want to coach in the NFL, now is my time? No, because I mean, you only get so many opportunities at this, right? So, the thing about Cincinnati is that now you look at some of the coaches they've had going back to when Brian Kelly, the aforementioned Brian Kelly, was their head coach. They've been able to attract some pretty high level guys there, even when they weren't a national powerhouse. Now that they're at that point, if a guy like Luke Fickell leaves the program, now you don't have to go out and search for these no-name coordinators or these, head coaching rejects that have been fired from another program. You can go out and actually have people lining up to say, I want the Cincinnati job, because if Luke Fickell can take them this far, I believe I'm a better coach than Luke Fickell. I'm going to get them even further. Right. And maybe the thing that's holding them back is, they don't want to join a Power 5 conference. They want to stick with, the weaker conference that they're in because it's an easier path to wins. But with the strength of schedule, that can go back to hurt you. Maybe a new head coach comes in there and says, okay, this is what we need to get to that next level, to be a consistent, challenger for the national title. Let's make a move to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Where now we can compete against Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa every single year, and really, test our mettle against these programs, because ultimately I think they can compete. I really do. So is it something, going back to my comments about Jim Harbaugh, possibly leaving Michigan, is it something where Cincinnati fans should be worried about Luke Fickell leaving? I mean, obviously, if you develop an affinity for the guy, you don't want to see him leave because he's built up a hell of a program there. But should you be nervous about being able to fill the void that he leaves? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Cincinnati is a hot commodity right now. If Luke Fickell leaves, they're going to have a lineup of some of the best coaching candidates at their door tomorrow.